Earlier on today, Bobby asked a question regarding October month. I'm going to try and answer that. Whatever you're about to see, remember, it's not a financial advice. You do you, I do me. Do your own research. I'm not a financial advisor. Earlier on today, Bobby, one of our members on Discord, asked the question, is October going to be a good month? In all honesty, when you start looking at some of the lower time frames, things do look quite good. However, and there's always an however, like if you look at the RSI here, for example, you can see that the blue and the red line below here, you can see the blue and the red line here are definitely pointing up. Also, the RSI yellow line is also pointing up. But when I want to look at more data, things don't make quite that much of a sense. Like, for example, here you can see we are ranging between 24,000 and currently 31,800, right? That's on the weekly time frame. That's the range that I see. So we are ranging in between that, which means it's a sideways movement, nothing really fascinating unless we break that 31,800 on the weekly. Now on the daily, it's a different story. Daily, you can see we are ranging between the 24,900 and the 28,100 and something, whatever it is, 167. You can see on the right hand side the low and the high. So that's pretty much where we are ranging right now. We need to get above the 28,000 in order for us to be positive, more bullish, right? Looking at just the immediate data on the daily, for example, things are looking good. To be honest, things are looking good. We are entering a on the RSI, we are definitely entering into, as you can see, bullish. Like we can see the blue line, the red line is all the blue line is leading, which is showing there's good sentiment coming into the market. So people are a lot more bullish. But as I said, when you start looking at slightly higher time frames, things do look kind of funny, right? Now, when I'm looking at monthly, this is what I'm seeing. So on the monthly, I can see the stochastic RSI is pointing down. The RSI itself is kind of sideways. So I am expecting a sideways movement. Nothing too fascinating unless we beat this 29,900. Just call it 30,000. So this $30,000 level is definitely a range that we need to go above in order to be super bullish. However, we might be volatile. We might play a little bit up and down here and there. I have seen alts leading the market. For example, Ethereum held support very well and currently is leading the market. So BTC is not leading the market. Understand this. And I mentioned this a few videos back, I think a couple of months ago as well. I mentioned this. I said, guys, if you look carefully, you will see that actually the market is currently being led by Ethereum, and same things happening right now. Market's still being led by Ethereum. So even though BTC is the one that's always on the news about all of this nonsense and regulations and SEC and whatnot, the alts secretly are definitely leading. Like we recently had news about Ethereum where there were some situations with Ethereum where the founder himself, like Vitalik, one of the founders, Vitalik Buterin himself, sold about $50 million worth or something like this. A lot of people have been sending their Ethereum to the exchanges. So that's another thing that we've noticed that has been happening. But regardless, ETH is still leading the market as far as I'm concerned, right? Now, I do follow BTC, obviously it's the biggest dominance, so that's the one we need to follow. So when I do follow that one, it is pretty much correlated with the entire total market cap. Every candle is pretty much similar. So based on what I'm seeing, there may be, as I said, there may be some volatility. Sideways actions I'm not too concerned about. I mean, we might range between, as I said, 24 to 29. Not much of an issue. But these little areas that we have, like for example, the 28K on the daily, if we beat that, then yeah, great. You know, I don't see much of an issue. We can actually change the trajectory of what's going on and we can start being bullish again. Now, I'm going to move into history a little bit. Like, so with history, we do normally get October months to be very good. However, I want to caution everybody, October month during a bull run is fantastic, but October month during a bear cycle is not. So you might remember when we had the dumps in what was it, in 2021, right after the bull market ended, when we started going down, October wasn't a great month. You know, it may have had a bit of a positiveness, but it wasn't a great month. So just keep that in mind, take it with a pinch of salt, just don't jump with it. You know, we got to look at more of the data. So the data, to me, I've mentioned this before as well in another video. I think it was a previous video actually I mentioned. If you watched it at the end, you would have known. I think I mentioned how if in October we do not recover and we do not start pushing back up again, then it's okay. You know, we could have you know, green quarter. Technically, we can have a technical green quarter, but it doesn't necessarily have to be a bull or a bullish quarter. And things may look a lot better in January, because remember, in the USA, for example, we do have the tax season, like all the taxes and everything have to be done you know, around January. And even in the UK, a lot of the companies have are doing quarterly taxations now as well. So if you look at institutions and the big players, basically the big hands, if the quarter's coming in, then of course by December everything needs to be done, so they're prepped for January. So just keep that in mind. That's going to create some volatility. Of course, if that is the situation, and we do not like, so we might have a little bit of a volatility in October, November towards December. If we do get a dump and the market crashes and goes to 20k, for example, around January, I wouldn't be too concerned, solely because just after that we do have the next quarter, like, you know, the first quarter, right? So from January onwards, like I would say February onwards, more like, we will start to see bullishness again. And then obviously the halvening, because a lot of people are betting on the halvening, hence why the people in control, or people who have most of the Bitcoin, are able to manipulate the market. So they're buying cheap, they're selling it to you, they're kind of recycling. Hodlers don't get affected, but everybody else is, right? So if you're not a hodler, what you'll notice is they're going to kind of recycle, pay the taxes with your money, buy, sell, do whatever. And then around, like, you know, I would say March, April, I think we're going to kick off, right? The reason I'm saying this is because that's pretty much to the deadline of the halvening itself. So the halvening is going to happen regardless what happens. And then the price will also reflect the shortage of supply, right? If that makes sense, right? So we are going to see people are willing to pay a little bit more compared to what it is. But anything, look, if we can get a 20k or lower, I would say just buy, just on the blind, just buy. It doesn't matter even if it goes to 5k. Anything below 20k, I've said this before as well, I've said this back in 2021 and I'm saying it again as well. Anything below 20k is a bargain, right? That's what you need to be buying. And of course, if you then start pushing back up towards the 30k, so sorry, towards the 30k, for example, then you sell and you make your money, right? So that's what it is. That's how you have to look at it. But as I said, just looking at the previous data and how October months are usually good, just take it with a pinch of salt. And as I said, also factor in what's about to happen in the future and how the market's going to play out, because the market will only play if there are players, right? Very much. It is a simple thing. And players means people who are hopeful that they're going to make a whole ton of money during the halvening. But if they're weak hands, they will sell, right? Of course, if they buy now and they hodl, then they'll be fine. They won't be affected. So that's what it is. And I've mentioned on the previous video as well, I said, look, around the middle of October is when I'm planning to kind of go back in, because I've recently had to cash out. I've had a bit of a situation, I've kind of a financial situation where I needed to literally pull out every last penny that I had. So I've done that. And now what I'm planning to do is go back in again, and this time like buy and hodl. So I'm planning to buy whatever I can around middle of October. So that's when I'm planning to go in. Of course, I'm going to see how the market is. If the market is bearish, I'm not going to buy anything. I'm going to wait until January. But if the market is showing bullish signs and the candles and the RSI and all of that flip back up again and give me some positive signs, then definitely I'm going to be buying. I'm going to be hodling until May, June next year, right? May, June next year, because during the time of the halvening, we are going to see a massive volatility come in and go out. So, you know, if you're still hodling from way back in the days, great. If you're still hodling from when we went below 20k last time, great. Some of you guys may have picked it up around the 15k, great. Just hodl, that's all I'm going to say, because the volatility is going to be like crazy. I mean, I remember back in 2020, during this volatility, I made a mistake where I actually decided to trade. And, you know, I thought I was okay. I had enough stop losses and everything as well. And I did it on, I think it was on Bybit. I can't remember. I think it was on Bybit. And I'm not joking when I'm telling you, I lost 2 Bitcoin, right? During the volatility, I lost 2 Bitcoins, and that was devastating. I was like, oh, fuck. I didn't really care about the value. I cared about how many Bitcoins I lost. And I thought, wow, shit, I just lost 2 Bitcoin. And I did a high leverage trade. So my advice to everybody is to stay safe, is avoid leverage trading. even if it's very low leverage, don't do it like me where I did a high leverage, but even if it's a low leverage, avoid it as much as possible. If you're buying to hodl, then you'll be fine. That's the whole thing here. 2024 is going to be a nice year. I think it's going to be a really good year. 2025 is going to be a brilliant year. That's all I can say. But for now, whatever you do, you know, just don't go too crazy. What I did recently, basically, because I went too crazy. I started buying alts and XYZ, and then I didn't leave anything on the side. Hence why when push came to shove, I had to kind of offload everything to get back into cash because I needed cash. So that's what the situation is. So don't burn your powder, right? If you got dry powder, always try and keep some dry powder, because last thing you want to do is you know, burn all of it, and then all of a sudden market now goes down again. It's volatile. It's a good opportunity to buy some more, or dollar cost average or whatever, and you can't, right? Don't do that, right? That's all I'm going to say. But other than that, guys, I hope this was informative. I will catch you guys on another one very soon. And again, if there is something you want me to talk about, you know, regarding crypto, or could be anything, right? Just holler at me. I mean, we've got the Discord link and everything, so you can join Discord. Just message me there and I'll talk about it. But other than that, like, share, subscribe, and let me catch you on another one very soon. Adios, my amigos.